Rachel, you are gorgeous. As you are, you need to know how spectacularly beautiful you are. Through my eyes, through my heart, and at the end of the day, when we are great grannies, because we're going to be here for a while, this will be my friend. Rachel, you will be my friend, and I will love you with my whole heart because you showed your heart to me.
Welcome to The Significance of Others, the podcast about the friendships that shape us. Today, we meet Rachel and Crystal, two women who have built a 20-year friendship based on truth, reciprocity, and acceptance. Their story begins in New York City.
20 years ago, I was so much younger. I was, so new on the scene. Like I had only lived in New York City for a few years. I was starting off at a new job. I knew so little about what I was walking into. And I remember meeting Crystal and, feeling at that time, and Crystal and I have talked about this a lot, but, I was from the Midwest, landed in New York City, working class parents, like landing in New York with just making my way, figuring out what I was doing, kind of figuring out my place, and like so young. And I keep saying that, but I felt so young, right? And I show up at this new job and it was kind of so fancy. Like everything about it seemed so put together, and I had to kind of figure out, so I was a teacher at a private school, and I kind of landed this job unexpectedly. And I showed up and I just was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like, how do I fit into this world here? Just kind of trying to find my way. And I meet Crystal, this like beautiful Crystal, and she just we just started talking, and I'm still remembering those like early times, but there were so many, conversations and so many times where we just like got to know each other so fast. Like I felt like when I met Crystal, like I always knew her. And that sort of feeling of like acceptance and of like reciprocity is a really good word. I really like that. But that idea of as we got to know each other, it just always felt like there was space for me. I mean, just yesterday, I asked Crystal if we could get together, and I know we are all so busy. And she said, I have this, that, and the other thing, but I always have time for you. And that's how I felt from the very beginning. I always felt like that.
So, friendship to me in this moment of my life means authenticity, truth, loyalty, kindness, humanity, just going through life in a way that's pure and honest. And I like surrounding myself with people who care about all those things. And I mean, I can slip right into it and say that Rachel has always embodied that since 20 years ago. So that's not new for us, but only accepting those type of people as friends in my life is kind of a new revelation over the past maybe 5 years. I've learned how to just set boundaries and make quicker decisions on not allowing those people to enter my space. So I'm very protective of my space. And so when Rachel and I are together, it's usually just the two of us, unless she's having one of her fabulous parties or I'm having one of my fabulous parties. And we're surrounded by all the good souls that we invited to our homes. But other than that, the one-on-ones that I participate in are only with authentic people, only with people who are willing to come to me straight and honest and who care about my well-being as well. It's reciprocal.
Now, from the very beginning, Rachel felt seen, and Crystal knew she had found a friend who embodied the authenticity she was learning to value.
Things happen in your life as you mature, as you raise families, grow businesses, do all the things. And you find that people take advantage of that kindness. Oftentimes, it's typically people who are actually the closest to you, the ones you've invited into your home, allowed to sit at your table, hang out with your children, talk to, your husband, all the things, right? So I was experiencing that for a nice stretch of time. And I realized something because, I'm not a person who beats herself up on, because I'm not a people pleaser. I don't walk into a room hoping somebody likes me. What matters to me is when I am in a room that there's mutual respect. Somebody liking you and despising you can look like the same mask. So when you go through something, you start to see those masks drop. And you realize, like, oh my God, I've let this person in. It's like letting a monster into your home you didn't even know.
I think that some of it for me has been maturity, but I think it also was like realizations that I could have had at any point. Like it took me time to have them, but it is possible to just kind of recognize. I remember worrying so much in my 20s and my 30s about like what people thought of me, right? The question was always like, what do they think of me? Do they like me? I mean, I'm not ashamed to say this. This was like my struggle, right? This was like a big part of like my imposter syndrome and my, like, kind of trajectory of like growing my self-confidence. There was always a question of, um, do they like me? That's where I was coming to it from. But I was also like, what can I do for other people? What can I do? Like it was always like, where can I give? And people were definitely taking advantage of me and I didn't even necessarily see it. But at some point, I remember my sister used to always point this out to me, which is funny because, she used to just say like, you keep saying things to me about like, do they like you? Do they do like, what do you think of them? What do you think of them? Do you like what they're doing? Do you like the things they're saying? And that's what I'm always saying now to my children, right? I'm like, I'm not really that concerned with whether they like you, whether they did this, do you like them? Are they good people? Do they treat other people with kindness? Do they treat other people well? Do you like to be in a room with them? Does it feel good? Do they make you feel good about yourself? Those are the questions that I think you have to ask yourself when you're considering who to bring into your orbit, because that stuff is the key to your own personal growth and the things that can help you be who you are. And people who don't, I mean, Crystal and I talk about this all the time, but especially with women who let other women lead, who let their friends be great, who let their friends be beautiful, who don't need to put people down in order to make themselves feel better. These are all things that happen all through your life.
Yes, because setting boundaries doesn't make you less kind. It makes you more clear. So I'm a very clear, very personable person, but people now know because I'm very upfront. So if it's not going to work out, I'm pretty clear this is not going to work out. Like we're not meant to be. But I wasn't always that way because I had to do it at home first. I had to do it with people who I'd let in. So when you have to do it in your personal space, it is very easy to do it on a sidewalk, on a subway, on a staircase. It gets way easier. And you can maintain your kind persona.
I think at that time I felt so much pressure to be somebody else, even though maybe that, I was young. Like I said, I had to learn that that's not what the world wanted, but I thought that's what was wanted. And of course, that comes with maturity, and I wasn't quite there. But Crystal kind of reminded me all along, like, you're great the way you are. You, who you are in the world, is like who I want to know, who I'm happy to know. And it's still like that to this day. But I feel like it's such something to not take for granted.
What Rachel and I have is reciprocity. She tells me things, I tell her things. We share, we bond, and it's always been that way. But back to what I was saying about attracting a lot and how I had to become more discerning in my accepting of people entering my personal space. That was so I can truly be free. I can be this free spirit and this kind heart and not get hardened by all of the disdain or hurt or just hate.
I think for most women,
Yeah,
this happens. I don't
absolutely.
want to speak for everybody, but this happens. And I think it's really important to recognize that you don't need that. And you can look at it, you can look at those relationships and say, I don't need that. And I don't want to welcome that in. And I want to be in a room where people make me feel good and they don't need to make me feel bad to make themselves feel better.
I think we're like a blessed we're blessed as women. Let me just say that because we have gut instinct, we have intuition. Now, whether you trust it or not, that's something you have to discern for yourself. Like, do you trust yourself? I'm a woman who trusts herself. I trusted myself at 10 years old. I trusted myself at 20 and 30 and so on and so forth. Right. So when those things happen and I'm constantly in conversation with myself about, I don't feel good. Something's not right. And it doesn't really matter what somebody else is telling me, justifying the actions of somebody's negative behavior. At the end of the day, the pillow talk that I'm having with myself at night, if I'm running over in my brain the thing that this person said or did to me that is making me feel uneasy in my body, they have to go. And it's been that way since, again, I talk about this even on my Instagram. I talk about at 10 years old how I knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly who I was at 10 in the fourth grade after this interesting incident. Two, in fact. And I won't go into detail about those, but they defined me. They were very defining moments about who I was in the world and who I was personally as it pertained to my body and how I was being perceived by my friends, my peers, or specifically girls at that time. And then as that kind of played itself out throughout my life, at each iteration, I was just like, wow, this is not for me. And I had a mother who would always say, she used these words like jealousy, envy, and I rejected those words my whole life. Because I'm like, there's no way. Like, why would somebody be jealous? Why would somebody be envious? I hated those words, hated them. And I would like lean into those people a little more sometimes because I was like, I want them not to feel jealous. I want them to know that I'm not the person you need to worry about. Backfire after backfire after backfire. In 2013, I went through, Rachel knows this story, went through something horrific with people I'd been friends with for 20 years. And it was in that moment in Amsterdam that I had a real decision to make. So we're going back, what's this, 12 years? Whether to literally fall apart and crumble or stand in my truth and my light and walk with that. Because again, I have three daughters who are watching me, right? And that's been kind of my driving force since giving birth to my first child, is being the model and the mirror for them and having the discernment to be the best mom I can be. That was first and foremost. But in the past 5 to 7 years, I was like, not only do I want to be the best mom I can be, I want to be the best woman I can be to Crystal, to specifically to myself. And I want to honor my confidence in that. And that's what Brooklyn Chateau Lifestyle, that's what I'm trying to do on my Instagram. I am trying to showcase to women specifically, but all can have it, is that when you own your confidence, your creativity busts. It busts wide open. And I'm a fan of women feeling confident and beautiful and secure, and not in light of a man or a partner, just for themselves. Like if you're not dancing in your kitchen in your jeans, or if you're not in your bathroom saying, oh my God, I look so cute today, something's wrong.
Together, Rachel and Crystal show us that real friendship isn't about collecting people. It's about discernment, reciprocity, and trust. Their bond was tested by life's complexities, yet it remains steady.
I say this every time we're together. Rachel, you are gorgeous as you are. And I mean that. Let's just start with surface. Beautiful. And this is something that is deeply personal and to Rachel and our conversations, but you need to know how spectacularly beautiful you are. Through my eyes, through my heart, I mean that with my whole soul. And I've said this to you from the beginning. And that energy that you put forth is so attractive to the outside world, but specifically to me. And I know Kamali too, and the boys, all the things. But you are so special in how you move through this world. And something I also said in my bio about her that you won't know, unless you know. But this woman, Rachel, I'm talking directly to you, but Nikki, I'm keeping you updated on this lady. She is so brilliant, business wise, life wise. I mean, her wisdom is like here. And even at 24, she knew things and how to move through things. When she started her company and she was questioning whether to step out on her own or not, she knew already to step out on her own. She knew what the numbers looked like. She knew what it looked like out there and that it was going to look like this. Whether she was willing to say it out of her mouth at first or even now, her humility is real. But this right here, this big brain, this beauty that exists here and inside is real. She is not to be messed with. One, because she's my friend, but also because she has everything it takes to be phenomenally successful. And at the end of the day, when we are great grannies, because we're going to be here for a while, this will be my friend. Rachel, you will be my friend. And I will love you with my whole heart because you showed your heart to me early on. And you gave me things. I'm going to cry. Wait, hold on. Oh, but you reciprocated back to me a kindness that the world doesn't always show me, irregardless of what is perceived. People might perceive people and they think, oh, she must have things. And that means kindness from others. But you gave it to me purely without question. I didn't have to fight for it, and I never do. And when we're together, like I said, the days are never long enough. And you will always be so special to me. So special to me. And I love you, period.
Crystal, like you are somebody that you are like radiant. You truly glow. You are somebody that you walk into a room and I don't know how, people just look at you. They see you, but I oftentimes feel like they're not seeing like all of you. They see like what you look like, but I think you glow from inside. Like I mean, you're beautiful, obviously, but you glow from inside and your love for people and for your like your core group, like your family. You have like the luckiest family that there could ever be. I mean, you have the most beautiful girls, again, beautiful in all ways, all different, all exactly who they are, which only could happen by being raised by somebody like you who let them be who they are and who let them find their way and let them also find their way to be like the most beautiful, smartest, all the superlatives, but like the most incredible versions of themselves. And I've known them since they were babies, so I can say this. And I love them all and just your whole family. And you just have a way of making me feel like I matter. And I mean, I remember early on, I'd be like, does Crystal really like me? I mean, I'd be like, really? Me? I mean, I would be like, what? I mean, really, but I would say that the conversations we would have and the way we would connect, there was no question. I mean, I would say that in a way of, self-deprecating moments, but the way that you could drop everything and show you care for somebody is like nobody else. You saw me on the street when I had just broken up with my then boyfriend, now husband, right before we got engaged, when I really thought that was the end. And Crystal, you saw me on the sidewalk on Montague Street in Brooklyn Heights. And the second we locked eyes, I just broke into tears. And you said, get in the car. And you took me to your house. And we had one of so many long conversations. And you said, this is the beginning. This is not the end. And it was true. And now, like 16 years later and 2 kids and all the things, you were right. And I mean, your wisdom and your like guidance around raising Black children. My kids are biracial. Crystal, you are such a mama bear for your girls and have shown me a way that you can raise just the strongest kids with such like strong morality and such a belief in like doing the right thing and standing up for the people you love and looking at things from a perspective of not always, I mean, you've helped me see this, like not always looking, sometimes being able to be honest and say this person was not doing the right thing for my kids and I need to stand up for them and that's okay. And even if somebody then says you shouldn't do it, to say, nope, that's another example of you telling me what I should do for my children. And my job is to stand up for them. You have done so much to guide me as a parent, and I've like learned so much from you. And I think that your ability to tell the people that you love how you feel about them changes the people that you love, and it makes them be the best version of themselves. And when I've had some of my hardest moments, I remember just like crying and looking at my husband and going, I need to call Crystal. She'll help me with this. She'll know what to say. And you always do know what to say. And I just appreciate you so much and appreciate our friendship. And I just, yeah, like Nikkia said, when I was thinking of who to bring onto this, I thought, obviously, Crystal.
20 years later, their friendship continues to be a mirror and a refuge, a place where both women are reminded of who they are at their core.
I want to thank you both for this moment. And I just want to sit for a second. It doesn't have to be silence, but and soak up this moment, because it has never happened and it'll never happen again.
Rachel and Crystal's story reminds us that friendship at its best is reciprocal. It's honest and enduring. Thank you for listening to the Significance of Others podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and share this episode with a friend who makes your life brighter.